Viewers, what a day it's been in Parliament. Yesterday, Parliament, of course, viewers, was the preserve of Nirmala Sitaraman as she brought out the provisions of the budget. But the mood in Parliament today was very different. Disorder, mayhem over a memoir. Rahul Gandhi stood up and quoted from the unpolished and unpublished memoirs of former Army Chief General Manoj Naravane to attack the Modi government on national security and China. Excerpts of the memoir have been published by a little-known magazine that caters to an elite Latvian's audience not favorably disposed to Prime Minister Narendra Modi. In that sense, it isn't an objective chronicler of events. Even so, the unverified and reportedly selectively quoted excerpts from this yet unpublished memoir seem to have made a very deep impression on Rahul Gandhi on a day when he could have stood up in Parliament, viewers, and taken the government on. The budget, which he himself claimed did not promote job growth or, viewers, financial well-being, he chose to fritter away in the delusions and indulgences of a magazine. Viewers, the excerpt that he picked up was a particular one based on an episode on August 31st, 2020. Article in this little-known pamphlet in Latvian circles. This article on the book says 4 Chinese tanks were advancing to Rechinla. The tanks were within few hundred meters of Indian positions on Kailash range. Frantic calls were made to leaders of India's military and political establishment. General Naravane says that to each and every one, my question was, what are my orders? Excerpts suggest General Naravane's superiors did not give any clear directives. As per the article, the government's message to General Naravane was to do whatever you deem appropriate, unquote. General Naravane says he had been handed a hot potato. The article quotes him saying, with this carte blanche, the onus was now totally on me, unquote. He says, we were ready in all respects, but did I really want to start a war? Now, viewers, listen into what Rahul Gandhi then says. He quotes this particular passage. Listen.
This is from the memoir of Army Chief Naravane. This is about when 4 Chinese tanks were entering Indian territory. They were taking a ridge in Doklam.
वो डरे हुए हैं क्योंकि अगर वो निकला तो नरेंद्र मोदी और राजनाथ सिंह की जो रियलिटी है वो लोगों को पता लग जाएगी कि जब चाइना हमारे सामने खड़ा था, आगे आ रहा था, 56 इंच की छाती को क्या हुआ था उस लाइन में है.
Viewers, he says it would have established a reality that would have shamed the government. That is bizarre because General Naravane writes and says, they gave me carte blanche. Now, viewers, what more does a professional soldier need? He is there to defend the country, and if the political establishment is saying, we give you full operational freedom, I would be jumping with joy because it would be completely my decision. That's what you get into the uniform for, viewers. To exercise your own autonomy in the defense of your own nation. So they should have let Rahul Gandhi speak. They should have let him quote these selectively extracted pieces from this yet unpublished memoir. Because actually, viewers, the government would have looked better. It would have come across as a government that allows the army to take the calls when the need arises. That it believes that every wing of the state must work independently and assess the situation on its merits. But despite the excerpt suggesting that the Modi government gave the chief of India's army at that time full operational freedom to do his job as he deemed fit, the laudable and professional thing to do, the NDA ironically opposed Rahul Gandhi's remarks on principle. Now that's okay, viewers. You can invoke principle, even if at that time it might have been inconvenient to you. And one must laud the government for sticking by principle, the rules of the House, even though what Rahul Gandhi was actually saying by quoting these excerpts were going to make the government look good. And those principles were spelt out by three of the NDA's topmost ministers. Rajnath Singh, he says the book the LOP is referring to has not been published. He should not be allowed to speak on this because the rules of the House don't allow you to speak on something that is unverified. Amit Shah, the Union Home Minister, says, how can Rahul quote an unpublished book? Avoid making unverified claims in Parliament because viewers, while MPs and especially LOP has parliamentary privilege, you can't use your position to slander. Kiran Rijiju, he came out and said newspapers and magazines can't be quoted in the House. Discuss action against members defying the Speaker. This is what was said. But despite being informed that he's breaking rules, Rahul Gandhi doubled down and went on to repeat his claims. So the House had to be adjourned. There was no discussion on the President's address. Not once did Gandhi's science colleagues in Parliament interrupt him to tell him that in his zeal to attack the government, he may have overlooked some obvious facts. That the ex-army chief had publicly extolled India's response to Chinese expansionist adventurism in eastern Ladakh. Listen in, viewers. I'm not making this up. This is General Naravane speaking, saying that, look, the government did a fantastic job. We did a great job. Listen to this.
I think not only of the PLA itself, but I feel it diminished the stature of China as a country in the global eyes. Because after this clash occurred and we showed that it is possible to stand up to China, who tries to bully its smallest neighbors. Once we did that, I think from Canada to Lithuania to Europe to Philippines, everyone actually, got that feeling that yes, if you're fighting for what is correct, if you have a principled stand, it is possible to take a stand even against China. Mm-hmm. And we don't have to always be cowed down by the might that they try to project. India as a country showed to the world that it is possible to take on that neighborhood bully, as is the case everywhere. Whether it is a school bully or a neighborhood bully, you have to stand up to him sometime or the other. Right. We showed it can be done.
We showed it can be done, he said. We showed it can be done. With Rahul refusing to accept obvious contradictions, staring him in the face, the centre went on to offensive, questioning his credentials to stand in judgment of the Modi government. Rahul Gandhi is reading unverified and fake claims in Parliament. Rahul Gandhi is undermining the dignity of the House. Unpublished books can be not used to concoct facts. Nehru gave up thousands of acres for his statesmanship. Rahul Gandhi should read The Himalayan Blunder by John Dalby, said the government. Rahul should read My Years with Nehru, The Chinese Betrayal by B.N. Malik. Rahul should read Crosswinds by Vijay Gokhale on Nehru's China policy. The Congress has, of course, very little right to criticize the Modi government. History shows that the Congress has not acquitted itself admirably in office with regard to standing up to China and Pakistan, viewers. And I can give you a whole bunch of hard facts here because the hard facts, viewers, the hard facts allow you to separate the wheat from the chaff. So in 1947, when Pakistan-backed tribesmen invaded, Nehru delayed military action and allowed Pakistan to occupy Jammu and Kashmir. Nehru took the matter to the United Nations that formalized the LOC. Viewers, that was a big blunder. In 1950 to 1962, when India lost Aksai Chin to China, Nehru ignored intel, didn't confront China on construction of roads in Aksai Chin. India refused to accept China and American help by possibly retaking Aksai Chin from China. In 1962, Sino-Indian War after the fall of Bomdila, Nehru's speech interpreted as conceding region. Nehru said, our countrymen in Assam, to whom our heart goes out, unquote. 1965, Haji Pir Pass, India returned the military and strategically important Haji Pir to Pakistan. In 1972, Shimla Agreement, Congress returned all Pak prisoners and land without securing a deal, a written settlement on Kashmir. Tonight, viewers, as we recall these hard facts, it is clear the debate isn't just about Modi versus Rahul Gandhi. It's about who gets to judge whom. Is Rahul Gandhi exposing uncomfortable truths, or is he selectively quoting a former chief of the army to slander NDA's strategic record? And does pulling an unpublished memoir into Parliament cross a red line between democratic scrutiny and politicizing the armed forces? Viewers, is Rahul Gandhi concerned about national security, or is he staging a political theatre, once again playing to the galleries, which will end up only giving China bragging rights, viewers? Let's open this up. Let's ask some honest questions tonight, viewers. And I want to begin first with Sushant Sareen. Sushant Sareen, I feel, and we were speaking this afternoon, and I think you have referred to this also on Twitter, on X, etc., that the government should have allowed Rahul Gandhi to read these excerpts, because he would have only ended up making a point that they wanted to perhaps make, that the NDA gives the military free rein to do what it wants and to assess situations professionally. But we didn't see that. We saw the NDA jump in and stymie Rahul Gandhi.
Yeah, and I think the whole debate was quite unnecessary. Number one, there was nothing new in what Rahul Gandhi was saying. Everybody was behaving that suddenly some new revelation has come, which nobody is aware of. The print had published a similar story, exactly the same quotes, exactly the same extract, way back in December 2023. Obviously, nobody read this in the parliament or in the government or in the opposition for that matter. And suddenly everybody got their knickers in a twist. So, one, I understand where the government is coming from, that if something has not been published so far, then, you are suddenly bringing out an extract and nobody can verify whether this is an actual extract or not. That point is very well taken. But I think where the government lost the plot was that, when there is somebody like Rahul Gandhi, who I don't think should be taken very seriously on national security matters anyways, but when somebody like him is trying to ambush you, I think you have to have a game plan ready to how to combat it. Resorting to technicalities in parliament seems to suggest that you're trying to hide something. Now, what exactly is there in the text, Rahul? I think you have explained it very well. You don't expect that if there is suddenly an evolving situation on the border, the commanders are asking the political leadership as to what exactly needs to be done. Do you expect that the Raksha Mantri or the National Security Advisor, or for that matter, the Prime Minister, to take a decision in exactly 2 minutes and say that, okay, fine, go launch an attack? Now, most politicians, and I don't blame them for it, they are not soldiers. They are not really trained in the art of military warfare. They rely upon the advice of their advisors, military advisors, to take a political call. Now, the political call initially was that please don't fire, don't be the first ones to fire. Once the situation escalated and the army chief reaches out to the political leadership, the political boss, which is the Prime Minister, tells the Raksha Mantri to convey to the army chief that take whatever action appropriate, whatever action you think is appropriate. Now, you don't expect a political leadership to say, okay, fine, fire 2 rounds, then wait and see what that guy is doing. And then, that entire communication cycle comes back. अच्छा जी, उन्होंने 2 round fire करे, अब हम 2 round fire करेंगे, 3 round fire करेंगे. You don't behave like this in an active situation.
Yes.
So you have the mandate to the commanders to take the action, whatever action they feel necessary. And that is when the army chief instructs his commanders that, look, you move your tanks, move them in an offensive manner, make it very well known to the Chinese that in case they were to advance further ahead or were to fire, we will fire back and we will kill them. It is as simple as that. And they handled the matters at the front. So I don't know what this whole controversy is. I don't see why any reason why the government should not encourage a debate on this.
Yeah.
And finally, last point, Rahul, unless there is some specific reason for holding permission to this book, and there is some specific objection which the government has, and they want certain parts of this book to be excised because they reveal certain decision-making procedures, I don't see any reason why the government should have any problem in getting this book out. I don't know why they're just sitting on it.
So let me bring in Sanju Verma. Sanju Verma, the BJP's national spokesperson. Sometimes restraint is strength in politics. Perhaps the government should have activated itself, or should not have activated itself, in the manner it did to stop Rahul Gandhi. Yes, it's good to put principles first. I'm not denying that. I sort of suggested that and wrote about that too. But you stood on principles, but you might have lost the narrative war. That's what I feel.
You know, Rahul, I very humbly beg to disagree with you. I agree with Sushant Sareen says that, nobody takes Rahul Gandhi seriously. Where I disagree with Sushant Sareen is when he says that, the government got its knickers in a twist. No, I think this was not about procedural semantics or technicalities. The government of the day has every right to call out the bluff of the leader of the opposition. And if it means doing it again and again and again, so be it. Point number one. Point number two, Rahul Gandhi is not taken seriously is now a known fact. But does that mean that the government should give him a carte blanche to go out and peddle lies and play the role of a propagandist, which he seems to be doing? Point number three, I think today one very important aspect that has come out is that while, Manoj Mukund Naravane may have said a thing or two which needs to be vetted by the Ministry of Defence, the larger point has been reinforced to a very large audience. The larger point M.M. Naravane made was point number one, not an inch of territory has been ceded. The point which he made next was China was at the receiving end. And the most important point made by the former army chief was when he said that we looked at the neighboring bully in the eye and called out the arrogant hubris of the neighboring bully.
Right.
I think these 3 points were reinforced loud and clear. And my final point is this. Forget technicalities, but let's not forget one important point. The government has every right, sweeping powers, and the prerogative to not only vet, but decide whether a former army chief's book will finally hit the stands, whether paragraphs need to be redacted, whether there are things that need to be deleted. And I'm not obsessed with Pandit Nehru, but this is why Rule 21, Section 3 of the Armed Forces Act of 1954. And my final point, without being verbose, Rahul, is this. Who is lecturing the Modi government today? Please, bear with me for 20 seconds. Who's lecturing the Modi government today? The Darbaris of Pandit Nehru, who actually called the then Field Marshal Karyappa in a letter in 1952 as somebody who's completely off the track, both mentally and otherwise. The acolytes of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi, who denied the then Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw his pension. He retired in 1973, Rahul, but he was given his pension by Manmohan Singh in 2007, 34 years
The
after
point
his
being...
retirement. The point being that the Congress party has continuously undermined every
so
single army
the Congress
chief.
party has no right to stand in judgment when it has been complicit in undermining India's national security, says the BJP. Sir, how would you respond to that, Tehseen Poonawala? And I want to bring in Dr. Ranganathan right after. Yes.
Rahul, thank you so much for having me on the show.
Suman Siraman. Yeah.
Thank you, Rahul, for having me on the show. Very few times I agree with Sushant Sareen, but here I completely agree with him. Look, I believe firmly as a nationalist, though I'm in the opposition, that we gave China a befitting reply and we kicked them on their backsides and threw them out. No if, no but. And to that extent, I joined a good general in saluting my Prime Minister, though I'm in opposition, that he took a good decision. But here the leader of opposition is making a point. So first, let's go on what the BJP spokesperson said on your show, and I'm quoting her verbatim. She says government has every right to stop the leader of opposition, not give him a right to spread propaganda, etc., etc., etc. Except, Rahul, that the parliament is not run by the government, it's run by the speaker. So what the BJP spokesperson has proved on your show is the speaker is not the speaker of parliament, but a BJP member of parliament who follows the diktats of the government. Now, point number 2. Let me come on the second point. Let me ask you, Rahul, as somebody who's a nationalist and everyone on this show, when Bofors came out in an interview in radio,
I'm a patriot.
A patriot.
Yeah.
when they first
Rahul,
came out in an interview on
He's
Sweden in a
misquoted me.
radio.
One
No,
second,
please,
one second.
come on,
Let
Sanju,
him-
that's
let
not
him-
fair.
let him finish.
When Bofors came out on an interview in Sweden on a radio show, and some article was printed somewhere, and the government then got it into parliament and was flashing those papers, what evidence did they have? What was verified at that point of time? Let me come to closer down. When CAG draft reports on 2G and other things, not even gone to the PAC, were out in the media, and they wasted an entire session of parliament. What evidence did they have?
Okay.
Today you are teaching us morality.
Rahul.
Okay.
Where
Okay,
this matter comes in, and I'd like to hang it. So, please,
want to
Sanju
quickly
ji.
come in
The
between
only question that is, again, no one doubts our armed forces. For the first time in 40 years versus China, we lost 20 braves. Somebody has to be accountable. On some shows, on your sister channel when we go, some of the people from the BJP saying, no, China didn't come in, India went on their territory. Is this the line of the BJP? Today I want to know. If 20 of my Indian soldiers laid down their lives for my motherland, who's accountable?
Very quick, Sanju Verma, I have to bring in Dr. Ranganathan and
Yes.
Dr. Sumansi Raman. Both have waited patiently. Yes, very quickly. Yes.
Yes. Rahul, thank you for saying that you're a patriot. And let me tell Percy, you won't like to hear this. This is completely off tangent. But just 24 hours back, simply because the government raised the STT, in your tweet, in your post on X, you've called the government a shameless government.
I
This is the
did.
kind of vitriol. This is the kind of vitriol.
Okay,
which
I think
we
it's a
can't now.
shameless-
We can't be
I think
choosing.
it's a shameless
one
government
second,
that's taxing the middle class
Okay,
and
gentlemen.
going back on its promises.
Okay,
I
both
think
of
the
you,
government
both of you,
is
both of you.
absolutely
Listen, I'm not getting
shameless
into
to the
this.
middle
I want to
class.
bring in Dr. Ranganathan.
Sorry, I apologize,
Substantive
but
points.
she's diverted.
Substantive points,
You are
please.
not a patriot. Neither are you a nationalist. You use
Okay, no,
abhorrent
I don't want to get into
language.
this
Percy
tutu
Purwala.
meme. Okay, stop. Okay, yes, Dr. Ranganathan and Dr. Raman. Yes, Dr. Ranganathan first. Go ahead.
Good
Yes.
evening, Rahul. Wonderful discussion. Look, the issue is not that Rahul Gandhi may have violated the Official Secrets Act by making public a document currently being vetted by the Defense Ministry. The issue is also not that not once has any serving military officer said that India lost an inch of territory under Modi. Quite the contrary. This is also not about the fact that unlike a Congress Prime Minister, the BJP Prime Minister gave full powers to our military chief to act as he wished. And this is also not about the fact that the government not allowing military info to be made public. Remember, the Congress did not make public the Henderson-Brooks report in India-China war for 50 years. The BJP demanded its publishing. But the moment the BJP came to power, the BJP itself hasn't made it public for 11 years. No, the issue is that the Congress's idea of Indian geography is geography dictated by foreign cartographers. Just as the Congress's idea of Indian foreign policy is Indian policy dictated by foreigners. The government is absolutely right. Right from the time when Dr. Ambedkar resigned from the Nehru cabinet in 1951, warning that under Nehru, India was being made to champion China's cause and that its suicidal foreign policy would lead to the ruination of India. To Congress presiding over the loss of Aksai Chin and then nonchalantly claiming not a blade of grass grows there. To Nehru thoughtlessly taking Kashmir to the UN against Sardar Patel's counsel. To Nehru rejecting the King of Nepal's offer to merge Nepal with India. To Nehru declining Omar's offer to Gwadar port. To Nehru giving up on Coco Islands. To Nehru rebuffing an offer to India to be made permanent member of the UN Security Council and advocating that China should become one. To Nehru being the root cause of Kachutivu as well. It was he who said in 1961, I quote, I attach no importance to this little island and I'd have no hesitation in giving up on our claims to it, unquote. The dutiful daughter then carried out Nehru's unfinished business in 1974. The island was signed away as court. It was disputed side and India's claim had to be balanced with the need for good bilateral ties, unquote. That's right. At the altar of good bilateral ties, you give away our precious land to Pakistan, to China, to Sri Lanka. Land bhi chala gaya, good bilateral ties bhi, and moving swiftly on to contemporary times. The same Rahul who today accuses Modi of selling India out, the same Rahul was tight-lipped when China occupied 640 square kilometers of eastern Ladakh during the UPA. A fact reiterated by UPA's own Foreign Secretary Sham Saran. Who knows? Perhaps calling for the breakup of Ladakh was an obligation on part of the Congress in that MOU that it signed with the Communist Party of China back in 2008. The same Rahul was tight-lipped when China managed to make 600 incursions into Indian side between 2010 and 2013, just 30 seconds, including in 2013 when Chinese entered 28 kilometers deep into our territory in Dakar. Hello?
Yeah, go ahead. We can hear you. Doctor.
Yes, thank you. As I was saying, the same Rahul remained silent when UPA defense minister said he isn't building roads and infra at our border for fear of the enemy using them. The same Rahul remained silent at our capitulation in the Sharm el-Sheikh agreement under the UPA,
Okay.
when we allowed the insinuation that we were fomenting trouble in Balochistan. And finally, our Air Chief Dhanoa is on record saying that the Indian Air Force wanted to bomb terror hideouts in Pakistan in the wake of 26/11, but was forbidden to do so by Manmohan Singh. Kashmir, Ladakh, Koko, Kachativu,
Rahul, you have
these
to
were
even
the
allow others
pearls
to
in the
speak.
necklace that adorned the dynast's neck. Small mercy, the entire necklace has been taken off and gifted away, Rahul.
Okay, so let me just bring in Dr. Raman. Dr. Raman, and this is a straight question. Does pulling an unpublished memoir into Parliament cross a red line between democratic scrutiny and politicizing the armed forces, sir? Simple.
Okay. First of all, Rahul, I think this is a self-goal today by the government. There was absolutely no need to, they could easily have rebutted what he said. And apparently the book does have a lot of very flattering references to the government and to the Prime Minister. So there was this one paragraph should have been countered. Instead, they pressed the panic button fully, and the way they came down on him like a ton of bricks. Look, let's be very clear. This General Naravane has not said he didn't say all this. He did. He has, until this particular moment, he has not gone back on this. The Caravan magazine, which has published some of this material, has also not said that this is something which we will withdraw, or this is a fake publication or whatever. So as of now, nobody has contradicted this content, right?
Yep.
I think we all agree, all of us on the debate are in agreement that nobody at this point has contradicted this. So in that case, to keep saying it is an unapproved, it is not unpublished. The
Unverified.
book has been published. The book may not have been published, but the Caravan article has been published. It is in public domain. So what are we saying that, if nothing that hypothetically, General Naravane had written only glowing tributes to the decisive actions of the government. I don't think the government would have had any problem if a BJP member had read it out in Parliament.
Okay.
So let's be very clear.
Please.
Go on saying this is an unpublished book.
Okay,
The
well,
book is unpublished, but the article is published. It is in public domain. So please don't keep saying.
Okay, so I also believe, viewers, that you might have stood on principle, and you have a prerogative to do so, and it's probably the right thing, but you lost the narrative war. You could easily have let Rahul Gandhi walk into that trap that he had set for himself.
What were the principles in Bofors?
Well, there are lots of things. There are lots of things.
And by the way, Rahul, why is the book not approved yet?
Apparently,
it's under review for more than 1 year.
All of those points,
Why?
all of those points are well accepted and taken. I want to move on. All of those points are well accepted. I don't think today they should have just let Rahul Gandhi natter on, because actually at the end of the day he's given so many speeches even before elections and they haven't turned the tide. So people understand that he has to do what he has to do, which is to perhaps oppose for the sake of it. But I think in this particular case, and I agree that perhaps the speaker should have been left to make the decision as to what he wants to take on record or not. I just want to